Hi, I'm Dr. Ava Cadell, your personal certified sexologist to help you get rid of any guilt or shame and enjoy your sex drive. Our hot topic is erotic power play, which, by the way, is the opposite to vanilla sex. So call in with your questions and your comments on our toll-free number, 1-877-711-5611, or email me at questions@wetalksex.com. And later on in the show, we will have the beautiful actress and singer Gina LaPiana. So stay tuned for Sex Drive, where we talk love, relationships, intimacy, and sex. Don't go away. We're going to find out if you are a top or if you are a bottom, because we're talking about erotic power play in the bedroom. Unlike vanilla sex, offers a variety of sexual flavors.
Get on up.
Welcome back to Sex Drive, where no subject is off limits. So give us a call at 1-877-711-5611. I will not make you feel bad or judge you if you've been naughty, because I want to empower you in and out of the bedroom. Today we are talking about erotic power play. And, you know, in our culture, vanilla sex is basically your traditional couple who does it in the bedroom, mostly a missionary style. And it steers away from anything wild or kinky like erotic power play. So, guys, when you make love to your girl and you give her a little slap on the butt and she asks you to do it a little harder, that's power play. And ladies, when you're climaxing, don't you sometimes dig your fingernails into his back? I thought so. Well, that's power play too. Have you ever felt so incredibly aroused that you just wanted to be bitten, just a little bit too hard? Guess what? It's power play. Do you enjoy that extra nipple pinching so rough that it has to hurt to feel good? Yep, you got it. Power play again. And do you enjoy feeling a little humiliated when your lover calls you a whore or a slut during sex? That's power play. When you blindfold your lover and tease him or her with sexual anticipation, it's all a form of power play. The fuzzy handcuffs that you pull out playfully, the times you've tied his wrist to the bedpost with his belt, when you pin her hands above her head, when you use your teeth to create a new sensation on his balls. Hair pulling, bossing your lover around. It may be mild, but it is a toe in the cool waters of erotic power play. So why experiment with power play? Well, why not? You can push your boundaries, which, by the way, helps to build trust in a relationship, and it expands your sexual horizon. And you don't have to spend a whole lot of money on power play gear, because you have a lot of household items that you can use to enhance your power play. Like those clothespins that you thought were just for the laundry? Nope. Think again. How about clamping them on your lover's nipples or on her clit? Or even putting one on her labia and stretching it out of the way to better orally service her. And ladies, those scarves that you use on your hair, well, they can be used to tie up or to be tied down, maybe even as a blindfold. We are talking about erotic power play today, and we already have a caller on the line. We have Joe on line 3 who has a question. Hi, Joe. This is Dr. Ava. What's your question?
Hi, Dr. Ava. I was wondering, I'm in a long-term relationship, and it's basically a vanilla relationship, and I'm interested in some of the aspects of power play, but I'm not sure whether I'm a top or a bottom or even how I would get started in this.
Oh, good. Well, the fact that you're in a long-term relationship is really important, because I do not recommend power play with anyone other than somebody that you really trust.
Okay.
So the fact that you want to spice up your love life, your sex life, is great. Now, have you talked about any kind of power play with your lover?
No, not really.
No? Okay.
Have we tried any, you mean?
Have you discussed it?
I didn't understand your question. Or I didn't hear you, I guess.
Oh, I was asking if you'd ever talked about bondage or spanking or anything that involves power play?
Not too much. Very little, if any.
Okay. So then what I recommend you do is tell your lover that you want to session fantasies.
Okay.
And ask her what one of her fantasies might be first that could enhance a sexual experience for the two of you.
Okay.
And hopefully you can make her fantasy come true.
Right.
And then tell her that one of your fantasies is power play. So my question to you is, would you like to tie her up or would you like to be tied up by her?
I'd like to try both, actually.
Good answer. So then tell her that you want to try a little friendly bondage and start with something like toilet paper. It doesn't have to be, something extreme like handcuffs or pantyhose or rope. In fact, the less extreme the better, because psychologically she's still going to get into the whole power play mindset. And she knows that if she wants to get away, she can just, spread her arms apart or her legs apart.
Right.
So start with that, and then tell her you'd like to spank her because she's been a naughty little girl. Bend her over your knees and see how she reacts to that and see how it makes you feel.
Okay.
Observe her body language. Find out if those oohs and ahs are really a turn-on or if she actually is not enjoying them. And just start with baby steps.
All right. That makes sense. I have an add-on to that question.
Yes, go ahead.
Over the time that she's given little comments like, just out of the blue, like, I don't like to be spanked, like almost right in the middle of making love. And then also she said things like, I'd like you to take more control. But I asked her about it later, and she has a hard time owning it or telling me what she really wants.
Well, that's interesting. A lot of people will say things during sex that they don't want to talk about after sex,
mm-hmm.
and that's okay. In fact, that's very important to understand that.
So how can I encourage her to explore that a little bit more?
Well, you can make a commitment to each other that whatever is said during sex is not going to be used in your relationship as a weapon. A lot of women are afraid of that. So they really want to be nasty during sex, and some women want to be called a whore and a slut and be dominated and have their head pushed down onto your dick and all kinds of really nasty but fun things. But then if you bring it up after sex, it makes them feel guilty and shameful.
I see.
So now that you've told me that she said that to you, I would just keep all the sex talk during sex and tell her that you want her to blindfold you and tease you and maybe spank you so that she can control you, and then ask if you can do the same to her and tell her that you want her to direct you and demand what she wants, that you want to be her sex slave. And that way you can exchange power, make each other sex slaves, not at the same time, but...
Right, no, that sounds great.
Yeah, does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Good. All right, well, give us a call back and let us know what happens.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for calling, Joe.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. You are listening to Sex Drive, and I am Dr. Ava Cadell. We are talking about power play. And if you have any questions or comments, please give me a call at 1-877-711-5611 or email me at questions@wetalksex.com. And by the way, you can ask me anything. It doesn't have to be about power play. It just happens to be the hot topic today because, the pain level of men and women is sort of a gradual thing, and it can vary. So it's never a good idea to presume that your love slave automatically is capable of living up to your standards. Now, the slave, even when losing control, when they're in ecstasy, remains in control. The slave has to be in control and must tell the dominant where their comfort level lies. So that's why I recommend code words like red, yellow, and green. And the reason for this is when you're in, extreme fantasies, even like rape or violating scenarios that are being acted out, the slave will often say stop when she really means go. So by using code words that mean the same thing, like red for stop and yellow for maybe, or green for go, then both the master and the slave can reach the same understanding without disturbing the fabulous sex fantasy. We have another caller on line 1, Diane, but we are going to talk to Diane. I think she's from Ohio, after our break. So please hold on, Diane, because I want to hear what you have to say. We're talking about power exchange, which includes psychological and physical sensations. Yes, and that is bondage, discipline, dominance, submission, sadism, masochism. Everybody's talking about this subject right now because of actor David Carradine, and we're going to talk a lot more about that. What was the cause of Carradine's death? Even though it's unknown, there is a lot of speculation. Welcome back to Sex Drive. Give us a call on our toll-free number, 1-877-711-5611, or email me at questions@wetalksex.com. If you have questions, I have answers. And if you've been raised to think that sex is bad, I'm here to tell you otherwise. Today we are talking about erotic power play, and we have Diane on the line, who is from Ohio, who has a question. Hi, Diane.
Hi.
What's your question?
My question is, if you're attracted to someone and you think they're attracted to you, and I am highly sexed, so I don't look like I probably am, and I enjoy it a lot, who makes the first move? I've always, except when you're in bed, of course, I've always been waiting for the man to do it first.
Then it's time to change, Diane. Yes.
I don't know how you change. What do you say? Oh, I like sex, or what do you mean? I don't know what you do. I never did
You
that.
give them a compliment. You give them a compliment. A compliment will always lead to intimate conversation. But you give them a compliment with an open-ended question. So you say something like, you really smell nice. What kind of fragrance are you wearing? Or, I love your hairstyle. Where did you get it cut? Or, that's a really cool shirt you're wearing. What designer is it? You have to give something that makes them feel good and then get them to talk back to you.
Okay.
You can do that. You can do that.
Well, hopefully I could. I grew up in the era where the man makes first move, but once they make the move, then I'm very highly sexed. I've been highly sexed since I was 12. So I'm older, 60s, but I'm still highly sexed.
Good. I love to hear that. Then be bold, because there's nothing worse than regretting not talking to someone, regretting not connecting with someone. And the best way to connect is definitely with a compliment. And if he has beautiful eyes, if he has an amazing mouth, if he has a great ass, tell him. I guarantee you're going to get positive feedback.
Okay.
All right? My
Great.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye, sweetie. We have Amanda on line 3 who has a question about sex in a hot tub. Hi, Amanda. This is Dr. Ava. What's your question?
Yes, I was just wondering, because me and my husband, we had sex in a hot tub recently, and we had, the bubbles and stuff on, and it caused something weird to happen to me. I guess, the bubbles and the chlorine got up there, and it wasn't supposed to, and so, every time I went pee, it was all bubbly. And so I was wondering, is it actually safe to have sex in a hot tub like that?
Well, it probably isn't advisable to have sex in the hot tub with all the bubbles, and you've already experienced one of the consequences, which is that it feels weird. Sometimes it even emits gas and all kinds of strange noises happen. But, we're human beings. We're supposed to have realistic, fun, silly, crazy sex. Hopefully you learned something with your lover when you had sex in the hot tub. Did you enjoy yourselves?
It was okay. It
wasn't great. So the water.
Yeah,
So you know what? Next time, make love after you get out of the hot tub, or make love before you get into the hot tub, and then just make out in the hot tub, but don't actually have penetration, because you don't want, anything unsanitary going inside you. My motto is, if in doubt, leave it out, because the vagina is the cleanest space in the body, and you don't want anything up there, to change the pH balance. And that's obviously what happened when you had sex in the hot tub. So just put it down as an experience. Don't worry about it, but just make love before or after.
Okay.
All right, sweetie. Thank you for calling.
Thank
You are listening to Sex Drive, and my name is Dr. Ava Cadell. I am here to answer your questions, any question that you have about love, relationship, intimacy, or sex. Give us a call at 1-877-711-5611, or you can email me your question if you're too embarrassed to ask. That's okay, and I will read it on the air at questions@wetalksex.com. We're talking about spanking, we're talking about power play, we are talking about anything that you want to talk about to improve your sex life. And we have Julie on line 4 from Arkansas. She has a question. Hi, Julie. How are you?
Hi, I'm good. Thank you.
What is your question?
Well, my boyfriend and he wants me to be a little bit rougher when we're making love, not in like a dominatrix way, but just a little playfully, I guess.
Okay. You can do that.
I want to. I don't know why, but whenever I'm with him, I get all, weak and kind of weak at the knees, girlish like, and I try to be a little bit rougher, but I guess I'm afraid I'm going to hurt him or something, and I was wondering if you had any tips to kind of make it more relaxed so I don't worry so much about that.
I do, Julie. This is what you need to do. You need to get into character. The next time he wants you to dominate him, put on some black high heels, or even better, long black boots. And feel like a dominatrix. Wear some leather or latex or at least black lingerie. And maybe even some black gloves. But really get into character as if you are going to dominate him. And then start out by telling him that he's your slave. Tell him that if he doesn't do what you want him to do, you're going to punish him. Okay, so just start and try not to laugh when you do this. And then blindfold him. Tell him to lie down and blindfold him. Now, the good news is, when he's blindfolded, Julie, that's going to make you feel much less inhibited because he can't see what you're doing, right? Does that make sense? Right. Yeah, so you can get crazy when he's blindfolded. You can start teasing him with your hair, with your nails. You can nibble all around the inside of his thighs. You can start sucking on his balls. You can really get crazy because he doesn't see you, but all of his senses are working overtime. And tell him that you want him to talk nasty to you, and tell him to describe what you are doing to him as you're doing it. And that's going to make you even more bold. And then just tell him that if he doesn't do what you tell him, you're going to spank him. You're going to spank him really hard. So does that sound like a technique you can handle?
Yeah, I think so. It sounds kind of fun.
Okay. And pinch his nipples and, just get a little crazy on him. I have a feeling he's going to love it.
Okay, me too.
Thank you for calling, Julie.
Thank you.
You are listening to Sex Drive, where we talk love, relationships, intimacy, and sex. And I chose to talk about power play because there's been a lot in the news about David Carradine, who passed away, and there's still speculation about how he died. But a lot of people think that it was from a dangerous sexual act called autoerotic asphyxiation, in which a person temporarily cuts off the oxygen supply to the brain while masturbating. So he basically masturbated to death. I mean, that's what a lot of people are saying. And the truth is there's no safe way to play with autoerotic asphyxiation or choking. So just don't do it. A little spanking is okay, a little humiliation, a little tit play, all that is good. But you have to know your limits and your partner's limits. So give us a call if you have any comments or any questions at 1-877-711-5611. And we have Melissa from New York who has a question. She's on line 3. Hi, Melissa.
Hi, Dr. Ava. How are you?
I'm great, thank you.
I'm actually calling with a question about a different kind of power play on behalf of a friend of mine that recently became intimate with a longtime friend of hers and is having some frustrations about the fact that he continues to insist on splitting the bill, and so the money issue has become kind of a power struggle between the two of them. And how can she broach that subject with him so she feels that there is some kind of a difference in the relationship now that they've crossed that platonic line?
Love that question. Yes, power play doesn't only have to be in the bedroom. If she doesn't say something, she's going to end up resenting him. So what she needs to say is very simply, I'm uncomfortable with splitting the bills. Now that we have a relationship, I would feel better if you took care of the finances. You know, if you paid for the bill at the restaurant, that would make me feel better in this relationship. Is that okay with you? And he'll either say yes or no, and that'll be the end of it. So thank you for calling. There's lots of different kinds of power play, and we'll be right back with more, so stay tuned. Welcome back to Sex Drive, where we know that sex is between the ears, not just between the legs. The phones are now open, so give us a call at 1-877-711-5611. And we have a Dr. Catherine Ando on the line, who is an expert on autoerotic asphyxiation or choking. Hi.
Hi,
Are you there?
Ava.
Hi, Dr. Ando. How are you?
I'm doing quite well. How are you?
Good, good. So you know all about the David Carradine situation, although nobody really knows how he died. But there's a lot of speculation with bondage and choking. So what is your expert opinion on that?
I can't really speak to that case. That's one of those like legal issues where the FBI is involved and the family's involved, and so I probably shouldn't speak to that. What I can speak to is what generally happens with erotic asphyxiation and a lot of the things that are in common with the accidental deaths, so that your listeners can hopefully not do that.
Exactly.
Be healthy.
Well, okay, go. Yeah, that's interesting. And what makes a person either want to do it to themselves or a person want to choke another person?
Mm-hmm. There are all sorts of different reasons why people do that. Like baseline, they find something hot about it. People find out about it for all different ways. Sometimes they watch it in porn. Sometimes a partner does that with them. Sometimes they just sort of want the physical sensations. There's all sorts of different reasons. It's not just that it's dangerous or that they're playing with death. Sometimes when couples are playing together or more than one person, it could be an intimacy building thing. It could be trust building. They could be playing with fear but not actually wanting to go unconscious. So there's a range of what people are playing with.
And you found, I think in your research, that there's a lot of accidental deaths. Is that right?
There are a decent number of deaths. So the FBI back in '83 estimated somewhere between 500 to 1,000 people in the United States die of this a year. The problem is because of the circumstances around the death, they don't actually know what the real number is. If some people are dying of it and the investigators on the scene don't necessarily recognize it at that, or the family members are covering up evidence that it could have been an autoerotic death. So the numbers are, they think that the numbers are probably at least twice that.
And what do people use to create that euphoria, that autoerotic asphyxiation euphoria? What kind of gear do they use?
They'll use things that are restricting their breath and or their blood flow. Things like a bag over the head. They'll use ligatures around the neck. And these are problematic. The biggest thing in common that these deaths have are they were by themselves. If they were with somebody else, then it would be counted as a murder. But when they're by themselves and they wrap something around their neck, if they fall unconscious, then that ligature is still on their neck and it's still pulling tight on their blood flow, and then that's when people die. So really need to emphasize to your listeners to not be cutting off their blood supply and to have somebody else aware of what they're doing and actually they're monitoring. If some people are going to do this regardless, like as much as we can warn them about the health risks and the possibility for injury and brain damage, some people are going to do this. So if they're really insistent on it, have somebody there who knows CPR, who's going to call 911.
Right. And if people want to find out more about you, you are with the Center for Sex and Culture. And can you give out the website?
So we are at www.sexandculture.org.
Thank you, Dr. Catherine Ando. Thank you so much for calling in.
And thank you,
really
Dr.
appreciate
Ava.
it. I am Dr. Ava Cadell, and you're listening to Sex Drive, where we talk love, relationships, intimacy, and sex. And yes, today we are talking about extreme erotic power play. But let's take another call. We have Buford from New Mexico on line 5. Hi there. What is your question?
Yes. What kind of power playing games can I do to spice up my sex life?
Well, definitely ones that are not as dangerous as what we were just talking about. Tit play is kind of fun. Guys and women, enjoy a little tit play and heavy pinching. But let's face it, women have more to work with. So breast bondage is very popular. And by the way, there's several pre-made items such as bras with little points and you can use all kinds of things to bondage the breasts. But remember that the receiver has to be in control. You can also get some nipple clamps. And if your partner has pierced nipples, you can attach a charm through them. So do you think your partner would enjoy that kind of bondage, or is that too much?
Well, I know she likes to have her nipples pinched.
She does?
She definitely like that, yeah.
So then make sure that while she's having a climax, you pinch her nipples or bite them to the point that she wants them bitten. But again, use those code words. Red for stop, yellow for maybe, and green for go, so that you both respect each other's boundaries.
Uh-huh. Okay.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
Oh, I like that, yeah.
Okay, good. Well, thank you so much for calling.
Uh-huh. Bye.
I'm Dr. Ava Cadell, and you are listening to Sex Drive, where we talk love, relationships, and sex. And you can give me a call at 1-877-711-5611. I do have a couple of emails from people who were too embarrassed to call. And one of them is, it says, nobody has ever given me an orgasm. Can you help me? Anonymous, but I know it's from a woman. She says, she wants me to give her an orgasm. She wants someone to give her an orgasm. So the answer is yes, I can help you, but I can't give you an orgasm. And by the way, nobody can give you an orgasm because you, women, you have to take full responsibility for your own pleasure and your own orgasm. Begin by exploring your own body with your hands and fingers and a vibrator, and then fantasize about whatever turns you on so that you get into a juicy state of mind. But you have to relax and surrender yourself to the pleasures of your sexuality and let your body move you until you feel like you're at the point of no return. And then once you know what turns you on and how you reach your orgasm, then you can share that with your lover. But it's not his job to give you an orgasm. But thank you very, very much for your email. You are listening to Sex Drive with your host. I'm Dr. Ava Cadell, and if you have questions, I definitely have answers. I have another email from a woman who says she was way too embarrassed to call, and she writes, my boyfriend's semen is a weird color. How do I know if it's normal? Well, Jenna, normal, healthy semen should be sort of a whitish, transparent color with a slippery gel-like texture, which, by the way, is what helps it to swim to the fallopian tube for possible fertilization. And unhealthy or possibly STD-infected semen will be a different color. And it may even have a strong odor, in which case he should definitely seek treatment as soon as he can. So there you go. If you have embarrassing questions that you cannot ask on the line, it's okay. Just email them to me at questions@wetalksex.com, because nothing is too taboo. You can ask me anything. And by the way, if you have any suggestions for other hot topics, I would love to hear them. This is Dr. Ava Cadell, and you're listening to Sex Drive. We are going to have my celebrity guest in just a few minutes. Her name is Gina LaPiana. She's an actress, composer, and singer, and you've seen her on the big screen in movies like Jerry Maguire, Meet Dave, Knockout, and on the small screen in Everybody Hates Chris, Criminal Minds, and the soap opera Days of Our Lives. And we're going to talk to Gina about love, relationships, intimacy, and sex, of course. We have been talking about erotic power play. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that you have learned something, because I believe that all of us are dominant and submissive to some degree. So are you a top or are you a bottom? Someone who has to be a good slave also has to be a good master. So why not try being a top and a bottom? This is Dr. Ava, and we'll be right back with more Sex Drive. Welcome back to Sex Drive, and we are so fortunate to have our celebrity guest. She is the absolutely beautiful and sexy Gina LaPiana. She is got Italian and Spanish and Irish mixture, which is why she's so exotic looking. And she's calling in from New York because she has been recording a record all day, and we are so lucky to have her. So welcome to the show, Gina.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Well, we're excited to have you. And here on Sex Drive, we talk about love and relationships, intimacy and sex. And our listeners would like to know what you love most about a man.
Oh, gosh, where do I begin? I'm finding that most recently I'm loving, obviously I love intellectuals, an intelligent man, and charisma plus makes me laugh. And also, lately, I find that I like a shy guy, someone who is a bit shy and not the kind of pushy, more aggressive type guy, but a real shy, intense.
So does that mean, Gina, that you like to be the dominant one in a relationship?
I think so. I mean,
yeah.
If I'm looking at my history, yes.
Good for you.
There's a certain type of guy that when he's shy, it makes me kind of on that same dynamic. I get a little shy too, so then it's kind of funny. But yeah, overall, I like to be, I think, the dominant.
We love that. So, okay, so what is the one thing that men do or say that annoys you?
Oh, when they ask for permission, when they consistently ask for permission, like, I didn't want to bother you, or I think it's just not taking what they want or need, leaving things up to me. I like the man to make the decision, whether, if we're going on a date and he's asking, well, where do you want to go? I like to leave it in his hands, to trust him to pick somewhere fun or, surprise me.
So then if a guy asked permission to kiss you, would that annoy you?
Oh, yes.
Really?
Just take it.
Just take it. Okay, I love that.
Just take it. I mean, obviously, you have to vibe the energy and the chemistry, and if it's happening and you can feel it's happening, then just take it.
Okay, so now this is interesting. So you like a man to take control outside of the bedroom, but you like to take control inside.
I don't know if it's, I think it's the reverse. I like the man to be in control inside, and like in life, in our conversations in daily life, I'm kind of drawn to a shyer type guy. Not the stereotypically New York, like, how you doing, girl? Just more of a guy who's got a quiet confidence.
So what would an exciting date be like? What would it sound like?
Well, I had one recently, and it was, I actually met him for dinner at one of my favorite restaurants, and I think it's really the foreplay is the dinner and the conversation and the way we look at each other, and it's just that chemistry bubbling over. I think that's the excitement to leading to the rest of the night.
That makes sense. Now, you have great passion for acting and composing and singing.
Yeah.
How important is it for your guy to have the same passions?
Well, it's not important for him to have the same passion. I love the differences. I think dark and light, together and separate, it's those differences that makes it work. When I was with somebody before who was so much like me, and because of that, we ended up being just great friends. The passion and the chemistry sexually wasn't there. It was more about the friendship, and I think there wasn't enough friction to keep the fire. And so I like the differences. I like that somebody has something different than me, I like to be in the same business. It's nice to be able to have those things in common and to be able to share, but it's not that important, really.
Well, probably most of the guys you meet are in your business, one way or another.
True. That is true. I tend to date guys who are in my business because those are the common factors. But it's really not important. It's about the chemistry and how we kind of connect and
so guys
when those eyes meet.
Yeah, guys will be very happy to hear that. Now, what are you working on right now, and what can we see you in?
Wow. I'm working on this record in New York. It's a lot of fun. We're actually working on a song called Megan Fox right now. It's so funny. It's a song that I wrote about Megan, kind of flirting with her and kind of playing on the fact that she's been very vocal in the papers recently about liking women. And so it's kind of a joke. I'm really heterosexual, but I don't mind a good flirt with a girl. So it's kind of a story about that. I'm actually scoring. I just finished scoring a film called Opposite Day that I'm also acting in, and I'm not quite sure when that's coming out, but it's soon. And I'm doing 2 films for Avi Arad Productions currently. One called Robo Sapien and one called Tekken. And so I'm doing all the music for those soundtracks as well. So just very, very busy on the music side. The record I'm doing out here in New York is more of a Black Eyed Peas kind of pop urban record. And yeah, just out there, active in the music scene right now.
Okay. Now, I don't know if you've been listening to the show, but we've been talking about power play and bondage. Have you ever, checked out that side of your personality?
I haven't really gotten into that, to be honest.
Okay.
You're so busy with career stuff that just to have a good old-fashioned romance is enough on my plate, Just to make time for that is challenging in of itself. So I haven't gotten around to being comfortable enough, I don't think. There goes the intimacy issues. I haven't gotten comfortable enough to do that whole thing.
Well, that's okay. So what would you do if a guy took you out and you had a lot of chemistry and, you went out a few times and then he didn't ask permission, but he started spanking you as part of foreplay?
Oh, wow. I don't know how I would handle that. It really depends on the guy. I have a specific guy in mind, and if he was doing it, I would say, bring it on, baby. But
yes, I love that.
I can't imagine that would go over too well with me, with anybody else. But this particular one, yeah, maybe.
So it depends on the person.
Yeah, it definitely does.
But you sound like
if
you're
I feel
very
safe, it's obviously if I feel safe.
Yes, but you sound like you're very adventurous. So were you raised with healthy sexuality, or did you have sort of the whole guilt and shame thing going on?
I wasn't really close to family. it's funny the way it turned out. I mean, it was very independent. I left home at like 15 years old. So, but it actually wasn't very strict upbringing. They were very comfortable, and I felt very comfortable. I have young parents, and they would really talk about anything. I just, it's a long story, girl. We don't have time for it, but it wasn't a conservative upbringing in any way.
Okay, well, you sound very, healthy sexually and very optimistic. And I love empowered women, passionate, empowered, powerful women. And that's what you are, Gina.
Oh, thank you. Well,
yes.
That's beautiful. It's fantastic. It's wonderful. I need it. It's my life force. I feel like I start to wither away like a little dying flower when I don't have it. So, you want it to be special and with the right person,
Yeah, it's a great gift to give somebody who's worthy of it.
Oh, it's amazing. There's just nothing like it.
And that includes yourself.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you so much. You have been a fantastic guest. Thank you very much for joining us on Sex Drive.
Thank you so much. Yeah, with that last comment, you're right. I need to allow that more often in my life, really, to make more time for it.
Yes, quality time for you.
Girl, amen. From your lips to God's ears.
So I look forward to seeing you on the screen, and I wish you continued success in your acting and your singing career. Thank you so much.
Oh, and you as well. You're so exciting.
Thank you,
Good luck
sweetie.
with everything.
Thank you.
Lots of love. Thanks, you guys. Thanks for listening.
Bye-bye.
Tune in to Ava Cadell.
Yay! You're listening to Sex Drive, where we talk love, relationships, intimacy, and sex, because everyone knows how to have sex. But lovemaking is truly an art that you can learn right here with me, your host, Dr. Ava Cadell. And we were just talking to my celebrity guest, the beautiful and sexy Gina La Piana. You've seen her on oodles of movies, but I bet you didn't know that she was a singer. Yep. She's a composer and a singer. So check her out. Check out how gorgeous she is, how sexy she is. I want to thank everybody for today's show, including my producers, Rob, Tim Sr. and Tim Jr., my engineers, Ray and Shane. And this is Dr. Ava Cadell, looking forward to being with you again on Sex Drive.